We have two VIPs with us here today, which I know they're excited to be here. They came last night for our board meeting, our legacy dinner, and I would like to introduce them to the stage to come forward and have a little panel discussion. So first up, I would like to introduce our Vice President of the PGA of America. He's from Augusta Ranch Golf Club in Arizona. Please welcome to the stage, Don Ray.
No, I was going to do a park deal. Backed out the last minute.
I was in your way, I apologize. And then our current District 12 Director and home of this year's PPC from Santa Ana Golf Club in New Mexico, Derek Gutierrez. Welcome, gentlemen.
I always test it first. Yeah, we'll keep one on the ground. Yeah, good. What are these called again?
I don't know, bar stools.
Yeah, whatever you said.
Is that okay for
You
you?
said like podium.
I said something. I don't know what I said. Okay. Well, welcome to Texas. Thank you for being with us. We're going to have a little time here to just chat about some PGA of America items. But before we dive into some specifics, Don, I've enjoyed watching you, become our secretary and now our vice president. You always bring a lot of energy and excitement for our PGA members and associates. After being at our board meeting last night, our legacy dinner, and then listening to everything today, how do you feel about what we're doing here in Southern Texas?
Yeah, since I've been secretary or vice president now, 2 years as secretary, I think I've visited about 24 sections. And I can assure you, this meeting is the best one yet. I don't know what I'm going to see next, but seriously, something talked about the board yesterday, and obviously the legacy dinner last night was a little bit different than normal, I guess. Usually it's a very formal occasion. Past presidents get up. But that doesn't happen in every section of legacy dinner. Connecticut's the only section that I've been to that's done that. Some of the sections don't embrace their past presidents like you do. So I really, that's just great that you do that, because there's so much wisdom, in these individuals that have given a majority, I would usually at least a quarter of their life, to association in your section. What I think with sections, when they put these meetings together, some of them try to save money. And it's unfortunate, really, because to me, I think, one, this is kind of a recruitment event. Now, you can say, how Don is it a recruitment event when there's a bunch of PGA members here? Because people see how this is put on. I mean, there's a certain amount of professionalism that you have accomplished in this meeting that I think is impressive. So one, if I'm trying to retain members, which we're trying to, I want to give them some pride, Thomas. I mean, to your officers. I mean, James, I think as president, you put your thumbprint on this a little bit, and obviously it's the board, I get it, and it takes, teamwork to make the dream work, but, I think as a member, it had to make you feel good walking into this room. For me, as your vice president, like, wow, I just wish the 41 did it this way, because this is cool. There's a lot of sections they're not wearing suit and ties to their meetings, and I get it, they're not supposed to be the new PGA, but when you come to a hotel like this and everybody sees these good-looking men and women walk into the building, they're like, wow, this must be a professional organization. So I love what you did with the legacy dinner. The board meeting was great. It was engaging. Everybody talked. That typically doesn't happen. Sometimes in certain sections, there's one guy who does all the talking, and it's not me. But it's you can really judge healthy culture in a boardroom by sitting in for 2 or 3 hours in a board meeting and seeing what's going on. There aren't a lot of sections that are flush with cash like you guys have. I mean, to spend whatever we spent about 15 minutes talking about what should we do with this money that we've acquired, how do we invest it? It's the members, it's the 827 members of the Southern Texas section. What are we going to do with their money? That's stewardship. And I think being a fiduciary and looking at these members' money, it's just cool, because I've been in some sections where they're working for money in a big way. So don't think that this is, unfortunately, it's not as common as you think what you have going on down here. This is tremendously impressive.
Well, I appreciate those words, and we're proud of what we do here. We put a lot of time and energy, and kudos to everybody in this room, because that's what makes up the Southern Texas PGA. I want to start, continue with you, Don. Hopefully everybody received an email on, was it Thursday last week? I think it was Thursday last week. Everyone should have received a direct email from our president, John Linder, and our CEO, Seth Waugh, that talked about deferred compensation. In your folder, there should be a page that has a QR code on the front, and then on the back it has a little bit of information about the deferred compensation plan. So I want to take this time with Don here at a high level. I challenge people to use the QR code right now, look at that page, but Don, I'm going to kick it to you. You know, this is instrumental, it's open, it's live, it's started. You can register no matter your age. Don, in a good way to tie a bow on the deferred compensation, why don't you shed a little light?
Well, one, I appreciate you putting this together. This isn't happening in all the sections. We've had 1,000 members. Over 1,000 members have signed up already. And they're keeping track of when people sign up. So if you want to make Derek and I look really good, and the leadership of the section, and Thomas, seriously, it'll take you seconds, less than 2 minutes for sure, to register for deferred comp right now. So just to explain it really quickly, most everybody in this room, I'm sure, understands the deferred compensation plan the PGA Tour has, right? And if you make cuts, you get money in the bank account, and they all talk about how great the PGA Tour deferred comp plan is. Well, what can the PGA America do? What can we tell the IRS that we'll do in order to further our mission so that we can have a deferred comp? And basically we were told no, not possible, sorry. But Seth Waugh, I got to give it to him. You know, being the CEO at Deutsche Bank, and then he gets the job with us as our CEO, he dove into it quickly. And really kind of did the simple things that we should all do in this room. He reached out to the lawyers and the accountants at the tour and said, how did you do it? Right? I mean, I don't know why we all try to reinvent the wheel, because there's a PGA professional just a phone call or text away. It can really get us out of a bind sometimes. So I appreciate Seth reaching out to the tour, and we figured it out. And so basically, when you go to this website, and you sign up real quick, there's like 3 buttons. You can't miss. Hit one of those and you'll be registered. So the way it's going to work is, and on the back of this, Thomas did a good job of putting how you can get points. You literally can have a PGA.coach profile and get 50 points. I mean, all you need is 200. So you're going to need 200 points to qualify. Okay? Now what does that mean, Don? Well, I'll tell you. So the PGA of America is going to put $5 million into this account, for a compensation account. And then we're going to see how many members get their points. You got to get a minimum of 200 to qualify. So let's just say we have $5 million in this account, and 5,000 members get 200 points. Okay? So 5,000 members get their 200 points. We take all those points and we divide it by 5 million. So if someone's going to calculate it, you can
do it right now.
You're going to do it right now?
5,000.
So 5,000 members get 200 points. So 5,000 times 2.
$1 million.
$1 million. So 1 million points. Now take 5 million, divide 5 million by 1 million. This is pretty easy.
How much is it? Say that
$5. Thank you. Nice work, Thomas. As I sit on the podium over here.
Yeah.
So that means each point is worth $5. So if you get 200 points, you get 5 times 200, you get $1,000 put into your account. So it's just that simple. If you get more points, say you get 400 points, do you get $2,000? You don't, unfortunately. The IRS said $1,500 has to be the max. Now that'll go up 3% a year, because that's what they're figuring CPI is, but we all know that CPI was more than that this past year. But it does start at $1,500 max. So get your points often, and it all starts April 1. The fiscal year of the PGA of America is April 1 to March 31st. So be one of the 1,000 that have already signed up. You can't lose. Even if you're over the age of 65, and I did double check, we had a board member ask yesterday, can you get it at 59 and a half? The answer is no. 65 is when you get it. But if you're over the age of 65, we'll just write you a check. So it's all good, and that money's going to accrue over time. And so anybody can, right now, Google one of those investment calculators and say, okay, say I put $1,500 in for the next 30 years because I'm 25 years old and I'm now Don's age, I'm 55. You do it. Google that investment calculator. You'll see what 30 years at $1,500 will get you, and it's more than the GRP ever will. Golf Retirement Plus has been a great program for us, but this is something different, because all you have to do is grow the game. All you have to do is start a DEI program or mentor somebody, or do a PGA Hope program, or PGA Junior League, or family golf, all of those things.
In terms of the process, we have really not communicated much on this. That's why the email was sent last week, and Don is here today and putting it in your packet. The process is that I'm a PGA member, I did something that's on the back of your sheet. I need to get another PGA member to verify that I did that. All of this that is being worked on, I don't know if this is announced or this has been outlined yet, but it is going to go all through an app. That all of this is going to go through one hub to make it very easy that you can basically post your points, send a notification to Joe Schmo, PGA member, and then they can verify that. So it's peer-to-peer confirmation that you did that. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just like a golf tournament, right? I mean, you're playing with your fellow competitors and you're hoping that everybody can sign your scorecard at the end saying that's the score you got. The same exact thing is going to happen with this. But if we are looking for the app, it should be done by April 1. I mean, it's looking good. The reason, if it is late, the only reason it would be late is because we want this app to be part of a bigger, broader app, right? Every one of you has probably said, why doesn't the PGA have an app? Well, because we're trying to build it, and there's a lot of different things we want underneath that. We want the PGA.coach app underneath that PGA app. We want vendors. We want all of those different things. So if it doesn't happen underneath the umbrella, there certainly will be an app to monitor this. We didn't want to give Thomas more work or the other 40 EDs. So we felt that we could police this ourselves as PGA professionals. If you mess it up, you're going to find yourself in front of the Code of Ethics in front of the Board of Control with the Code of Ethics violation. So don't do that, because we will protect the field. If you're going to mess this up, you could hurt this for the entire 28,000. So don't think that we won't come down hard, really hard on you if you were to lie about signing someone else's scorecard or obviously the defeat.
Really good opportunity here. When we say what the PGA is doing for you, here's a very viable option of, hey, this is what we're doing, giving you all money directly in your accounts that is for you. On that website that sent you to, there's like a 4 or 5 page Q&A that has a lot of detailed questions on it. We wanted to save some trees, so we didn't print all of that. We just printed 1 page for everybody. But really take the time, no matter your age, highly recommend you get signed up. And then more information to come on our end, just general promotion around it. But I think the last thing I will note on that is that it does match up, and Don said this, with the PGA of America's year. So April 1 through March 31. So if you have to earn up to 200, you have to earn 200 points to be eligible for any payout starting April 1 of 2024. And so we're not going to know the total point numbers until the end of March of next year. And so that's the 12-month cycle in terms of the overall. Is that correct? Yeah, absolutely. And we have to pay, you have to make that deposit within 120 days, I think, of April 1. And if you like small print, go to the website and read the small print. The plan document is there. You'll see that there's an unforeseeable emergency clause. So say something, an accident happens to you or something happens in your life that's unforeseeable, you can't take that money out before you're 65. So read the small print if you want to. It's all on pga.org under resources. Because of this important topic, if you do have a question, we'll happily take it right now. And I know, Jeff, you just raised your hand. Go ahead.
So why 5 million? Why was it chosen 5 million? Why couldn't it be 20 million, 30 million?
The question that Jeff just asked was, why was it $5 million that was put in to start?
So the IRS makes us put that money in, Jeff, before we even know how many points are going to be taken. The max we can put in there right now is $15 million, or an average, I think, 5% of our revenues over a 4-year period. So if we do, right now, we're not making more than that, so 15 would be the max. So we could have put 15 in there, but everybody can only get $1,500. Tops, right? So that amount would just stick in the account and then we'd have to roll it over to the next year. So we've got a lot of other things that we'd like to accomplish at the PGA of America. So we think $5 million is going to be fine. Jeff, if after the first year we're like, oh my gosh, there wasn't enough money in there, and more people, I mean, more than 5,000 people participate in this. I hope so, but remember, some of the 28,000 aren't going to do this, but we hope they do. I think there's about 4,000 people who do Golf Retirement Plus. That might be under. It's either 4 or 7. But, so we do have budgeted, Jeff, 5,000 this year, 6,000 next year, 7,000, 8,000. We kind of look, the PGA of America looks at its budget over a 4-year period because the Ryder Cup is so important. It obviously makes all of us a lot of money. The European Ryder Cup, not so much, so we look at it as a 4-year cycle. So we'll see. Starting with 5, Jeff. If we miss it, we got to throw 10 in, brother. We'll throw 10. But we thought as a board that 5 million was fiscally managing that money because it gets locked up in that account. We'd like to use that for PGA Hope. we'd like to use that for PGA Junior League. There's other things. So let's just see what happens.
Any other
Let me
questions?
just add one thing really quick too. There's a potential escalator on that 1,500 that it could increase, and if the participation is up, it's something the board can talk about increasing. This is a wonderful program. We've pretty much touched on everything. Initial default investments is going to reflect your age. Someone like me is 53, maybe 10 years to calling it a day. Might be a little more conservative, but still going to participate for 10 years. The 30-year measurement period talked about, 46,500 at a 6% theoretical return is $127,000. And I imagine everyone in this room is probably checking a lot of the boxes already, and just you're already doing it. So highly encourage everyone, regardless of age or classification, to sign up. This is big. It's a huge win, and it's at the finish line now.
Any other questions on deferred comp? Thank you, Jeff, for that question. Okay, Don, thank you for that. Derek, let's stick with you for a little bit. Obviously, PGA Frisco is opening up, the new home for the PGA of America, the facilities, Omni property. Can you maybe give us a high-level overview of what that means to our members and opportunities to be there, go there, see things, shed a little light on that for us?
It's unbelievable. I feel like maybe Jimmy Carey can come up here and do it more justice, but I'll do my best. I've been there a few times. How many have been to PGA Frisco since opening our headquarters?
You guys gotta make it right.
Yeah, it's quite a hike from here, but nonetheless, if you get there, set up a tour, call Cindy Jenkins, Aaron Sargent, bring your ID during business hours, they'll give you an hour of their time, show you the facility. This is the most golf-centric indoor facility, golf-centric facility I've ever seen. Been to a few. Inside, you have a 3,200 square foot short game area with a bunker. You have a 1,000 square foot putting green with technology. 7 simulator bays, 4 indoor-outdoor hitting bays. The conference space, the technology, the meeting space is unbelievable. So if you get there, please ask for the tour, spend an hour. You walk in, a lot of storytelling. There's digital interactive boards. There's a huge digital screen when you walk in that rotates every member at some point. I still haven't seen my face on it. I try to find it, but it just constantly looping members, and it's pretty cool. And it just does feel like, hey, this is our facility. So I highly encourage you to get out there and check it out. Education, level 1 is still remote, but opportunity for level 2 and 3 to spend time at the new home office. What a great experience, streamlining that golf PGM 3.1, and to be able to be over there and just kind of take advantage of all that the PGA has to offer at the new home office is incredible. PGA race to play the East and West course. That's been asked that quite a bit. With the opening kind of around the corner, got a little better feel how that's going to look. Obviously, Omni and Frisco and the PGA own the mall, but Omni's probably north of $500 million on the entire project. They will own it. Your very own Paul Ernest, who's going back to operate the golf courses, is there and get things going. 25% off of whatever the rate's posted. There'll be 3 rate structures. There'll be a peak season, off season, and shoulder season. East course will be the championship course. The West will be the recreational course. And so you'll have the basically 6 rates, I guess, when you combine all those. If you bring 7 members, like a lot of other properties, the PGA member will get complimentary room nights for however many nights you're there, and free golf. Your entire group will get to play the swing, which is a 10-hole lit short course, which is really cool. We got to do that during our committee meetings there recently and play that. It was a great experience, and can't wait till all the retail and entertainment district open up. So that's exciting. That'll be here before we know it. But again, 25% off. Just call 7 days out. Look at tea time. You get 25% off those rates. Hope to have this for you locked in soon. 26 member and spectator championships over the next 13 years. It's our hope that a major every 2 years will start to create a buzz and accolades for the facilities that will rival some of the best facilities in our country, so and maybe the world. So very excited for that, and really make the time to get out that way if you happen to be in the area and visit it. I think the annual meeting's there this year.
Yes.
So your officers and maybe it's worth a drive. We get a lot of PDR points going in annual meeting for sure. We knock them out in 2 days. So.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be really good once that opens. We got the KitchenAid Senior PGA in May that will kickstart, but looking at opening that April, May time period is what I've been told. So should be really good. If you're looking to go up there, please reach out to Jimmy Terry. We also have some contact information about booking with groups of, that 8 1 Pro and 7 AM. We'll send that information out afterwards. Don, during our section business operations conference, we got a refresher on the insurance plans for both sections as well as PGA members that come with your membership. Truthfully, when I was sitting in the room, I really didn't know the value from an insurance perspective for the individual PGA member. What can you share about the insurance as part of our PGA membership?
Well, first, Jimmy Terry, if your knees will allow it, I need you to stand. Stand. Listen, when you go to the home of the PGA professional, which is just up there, that's the man who did it. I mean, around listen, every PGA professional is indebted to you, brother. I mean, I know the time you put in on the bridges and all that junk, but I know you'll be watching the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship come next to those blank courses. And I thank you for that. It is the home of the PGA. And just one final thing I just have to say, man, I'm so tired of everybody saying, hey, Don, you're a PGA member, do you know Tiger? I'm tired of that, right? I'm tired of everybody talking about the men and women who play golf for millions. When we get millions of men and women to play golf. And now we have a campus for the first time ever that we can show that we're not one of the tour members, thank you very much. We actually put the tees in the ground and we get millions of people to play this game of golf. And I think that's what I'm hoping when you go to the PGA Retail District, when you go to the home of the PGA, when you walk on that 70,000 square foot putting green or you play the swing, whatever it is, that for once and for all, you want to know what a PGA member does, all you have to do is go to our home. And you'll see exactly what we've dedicated our life to and how much money we raise for charity and how we're saving lives with PGA Hope. So go there. You'll be proud, I assure you. You take your family there. I took my buddy trip there. It wasn't even open yet. Headquarters just opened. 16 of my buddies. We went on a golf trip down to Frisco. Couldn't play the golf courses because it's closed right now until April, end of April. But I wanted them to see what I've dedicated my life to. And they'll give you a tour. John Newkirk would love to give you a tour of that building. So, on to something exciting. Insurance. Thanks, Thomas, for this question. Appreciate it. But it's actually, did you know? I mean, have you been to PJ.org lately? Who's been to PJ.org in the last 7 days? Really? Come on, don't lie to the dentist. We don't know if you flushed or not. Really?
Wait, can you ask that question again?
How many have been on PJ.org in the last 7 days?
And don't count that you just did it because it's the first time.
No, I guess they can count it. That would be a good indicator. If you click on resources, just look at what's on there. I didn't even look at all of it until like this morning. I'm like, I probably should brush up on some of this stuff. Thomas is going to ask me the question because he gave me the script a week ago. Thanks a lot for the script. I appreciate that.
You wanted it early?
No, it was perfect. I don't really know script guy. So when you pay your dues, we break it out because the IRS makes us do that. But $44 of it, right, goes right into a life insurance policy. Now it's not a lot, you might say, because it's either $5,000 to $14,000 depending on how old you are when you pass. If you're younger, it could be up to $14,000. If you're older, it could be $5,000. So that's where $44 of it goes. And then there's $13 of it that goes into professional liability policy. Because if you're giving a lesson and somebody gets hurt, you're covered. Up to $1 million. This is all part of you paying your dues. So that's cool. So that's there. A lot of the tour players like to keep their PGA membership because of that insurance policy. Because you can't get it any cheaper than paying your dues. So it's a really good policy. Once again, the small print's on the website if you want to check it out. Another thing is our member assistance program. $5 goes to that. Now what is that? Well, myhealthbenefits.com. You might go, what's that? Well, it's on my phone. If I open my phone, I have an app for my benefits. And it goes in there for discounts on dental or chiropractic, or there's some telemedicine. You would be surprised if you go to pj.org and look under resources and just click on insurances. You'll see we actually offer now, depending on the state you're in, some health insurance opportunities that you can do for your staff. You'd be amazed if you haven't gone to resources lately to see what's on there. If you want to know, eventually the rates that Derek just mentioned will be on there where it says play and spectate. If you want to know what do you get at Augusta National, well, once again, they've extended us to get in for free. Hallelujah, because that's not a done deal every year, I assure you. But really, if you're a leader, or you're a leader in your own facility, or a PGA member's like, what's the PGA member do? What's the PGA do for me, Don? I'm thinking about being a PGA member. Take them to PGA.org. Show them the pictures of PGA, the home of the PGA. But if you go to PGA.org and you see those insurances, you see all the different benefits, Perk Spot. I don't know how many of you have used anything on Perk Spot, but I bought my washer and dryer on Perk Spot and saved like $400. It's a good place to get a discount on Disney tickets. It's impossible to get a discount on Disney World or Disneyland tickets, but Perk Spot offers it. So certainly click on those things, but there's all kinds of benefits other than the insurance that are a little bit sexier than insurance, but that you can use for your family. So I really encourage you to go to the website. It's gotten so much better if you haven't been there lately. It's fun.
And I think that's why we wanted to ask that. I know that wasn't your glitz and glamour question, but again, with regards to the panel that was just on here before of, hey, we have these human, our staff that's ready to help and ready to do. Here's another benefit to being a PGA member. And again, I encourage people to look at that, to really dive into that. Derek, you've been on the board now for a year. I know it's a big time commitment. What are you most looking forward to that can help our members over the next year as you continue your time on the board?
Well, we talked about one on the comp. Check the box. That's off and running. That's a huge program. I'd like to see that offering. For me, you hear about how the time flies when you serve in this role, and it is flying by. What I say, what I'm looking forward to the next year, from my standpoint, being here is unbelievable. What you are doing in this section is amazing. To see that many new members come up today and be recognized for getting their membership, incredible. So most gratifying for me is visiting sections. And visiting with so many of you, and the hospitality here is as good as it gets. It's just wonderful to be here, visit with your board, things of that nature. For me, on the horizon, late April 30th through May 3rd, hosting the PPC. We hosted senior PPC in the fall, hosted women's PGA Cup, and then we hosted PPC. Seeing our members play golf at such a high level, men and women, at our facilities, super gratifying. Looked those before I was on the board, but good to see those executed. The committee structures changed a little bit. That's off and running in March. So much involvement from members from your section and beyond on all our committees are doing so many great things. It's really awesome in the board when you'll see some of these recommendations coming from the committees, and then us talk about, consider some of those proposals, execute, and implement. And the committee structure, seeing that stuff come to fruition on behalf of the 28,000. That I didn't really realize how impactful the committee structure was. I'm chairing the Works Committee this year, co-chairing with Tony Martinez. I think you have a works fellow here. Jimena Davila, stand up. Let's give her a round of applause. The Fellows program is really, it's developing a career path for these youngsters from diverse backgrounds. And whether they stay in golf or other areas of the industry or sports industry, wonderful. And so I could go on and on. Just a lot of great things happening. Ryder Cup, let's go get the Ryder Cup and bring that trophy home. PGA Champs around the corner. Just so many great things and having a blast.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Part of the reason why we want to bring that up was that the Southern Texas PGA is next up in the rotation with our district between Sun Country and the Northern Texas PGA. So during this year in 2023, your board of directors will elect our next district director that will serve as a shadow year in 24 and then commence beginning in 2025. So that is open to any PGA member within our section. We'll announce an official timeline. We'll send it out in writing after this meeting, but just so everyone's aware, if you're interested in running for district director, you must submit your letter to the SDPGA officers by July 1. By September 1, all members running will be communicated to the entire membership. And then our bylaws and our constitution states that our board of directors picks our next district director. So all candidates will have an opportunity to present to the board of directors in September as to why they should be our next district director. And then they will vote, and then we'll announce who won the district director election by the middle of October. They will then shadow Derek, as I said, in 2024, and then commence in 2025. So if you have any questions about serving as our district director, please reach out to Derek or myself. But I wanted to make sure that that was publicly known, that this is a year that, as a section, we get to decide who we want to represent our section, but also represent Northern Texas PGA and the Sun Country PGA. So wanted to make sure that we got that on record. And I guess, Derek, to add to the parts of what you're most excited about, you know, what advice would you give anyone that's interested in running for that position?
If you have any interest, run, throw your name in the hat, go through the process. Most gratifying experience I've had as a member, aside from opening my membership card when I got Class A several years ago, was serving as an officer in the section. Those 8 years were, I would do it again if time permitted, I could do it. But this is almost as gratifying, if not equally gratifying. And so, and Alan, you're nodding your head, right? Yeah, and it goes very fast. But you know, the passion, talk about passion in your script. Anyone that's running here, I'm sure, has so much passion for what we do, and there's no question there. The time commitment, while not nearly the time commitment that the officers make, is still significant in nature. I had to clear it with my board. I had it memorialized in a vote in a meeting that here's my time commitment, here's how long I'm going to be on the board, and how long I'm going to be gone. And there's no question, when I'm away, it works out. And I don't know that it's always that easy. If you own the facility, then probably a little bit easier, but know that it's probably 40 to 50 days a year, a lot of reading. They promised us shorter pre-reads before the meeting, but hopefully that'll reduce the lift a little bit. But I just think it's time, passion, no question. And I know that anyone from this section that has served as officer or not potentially to run would be really good in this position. I look forward to that shadow probably as early as this December, so we can start getting that person ready for that term.
Thank you, Derek, for that insight. Don, let's talk about recruiting. What is the PGA of America doing to help get more people into the industry? Do you think it's working? And what measurable steps are we calculating to make sure that it is working?
Yeah, I think it's, one for Dylan and Becca and Doug and Kelly. Maybe before you're an old PGA member, you've been coming here and some national employee showed up on the stage here and said, hey, I'm here to help you. And it was like, well, they just work for national. That is not the way this regional model is set up. I mean, just like a good management company, just like a good company that serves people, if you can regionally do it, you better understand. Dylan said it. He was traveling all over the place, and now he gets to focus in one area. And you know that Kelly's a superstar, but they're just an extension of Thomas's staff, your staff. And by the way, your attention to detail is being, I give you a hard time on the script and stuff, but I typically don't get that. And so I applaud you. If you're managing these people's money, and obviously you take it seriously because of the way you put it some time into this meeting. Recruitment, I think what's really cool now is the way that we're measuring success. I mean, I have a report, I can get it on the iPad, and the officers can get that on the iPad, but I can clearly see that these career consultants have talked to 4,000 unique employers, almost 4,000 unique employers. They've talked to 14,000 unique PGA members. We only have 28,000, but in 2022, they talked to 14,000, interacted with them. Now, it might have been an email exchange or something, but they interacted with them. When Executive Search makes close to $900,000, that money stays right in there. It stays in that department. We've assured that at the board level, that the executive searches that happen, that we're going to keep that in the Career Services Department. That's exciting. The amount of money that they've increased compensation for PGA members, I think it's $7 million, Kelly, or something. It was over 6, right? I see you shaking your head. $7 million. Now, this isn't because someone said, hey, I think I'm going to lose my job, can you come help me? A lot of this is career consultants proactively showing up and saying, hey, bro, you need to make more money. You talk about that compensation survey. I would hope none of you would sell your house out there without looking at the MLS. You wouldn't, because you'd price your house incorrectly if you didn't know what was going on in your neighborhood. That is why you need to be part of the compensation survey, especially if you make a lot of money. Some of you that make the most are afraid to put it on the survey because you're afraid that Big Brother's going to know what you're making. You have to put it on there because it raises up what the MLS, in a sense, looks at. And that's what Kelly and Doug are grinding on. And then Becca, with these tools, that if you're having trouble making more money, and you need to know what the return on investment to the owner of the golf course is for PGA Junior League, or family golf, or any of the next-gen products that we just purchased and that we bought. It's clearly in there. We can show a return on investment to your owners, your boss, or whoever it might be, but the exciting part actually is really getting proactive, Thomas, on the recruitment side. I think we have 4. I think we're going to get to 7, Kelly, right? I think we're trying to work on 1 for every region. There's 7 regions. These are people specifically dedicated to recruiting. They're going to the colleges. They're going to the junior colleges. They're going to the job fairs. I think some of them are even going to elementary schools and job fairs are there, which is fine with me. Because the little boy or girl thinks they want to be a firefighter, well, they should want to be a PGA member. So I applaud what we're doing on the recruitment side, and everything is tracked. I think I saw, Kelly, if I'm wrong, in 2022, was 37,000 impressions that we made on non-golfers. And said, hey, would you like to be a PGA pro? And then the follow-ups to that, I think, was just over 4,000 people said, I'd like to learn a little bit more about being a PGA professional. So that's a workforce, that's a sales force on behalf of all of us. But hey, don't forget, you're the most important recruiter in the room. You're the most important person. Because people are coming to you asking those questions. Juniors have been doing it in our programs for years. And if we're still sitting back going, yeah, I never get to play, and I work all the time, well, I don't know who would want that job. Why don't you tell them about the hugs that you've got from the 65-year-old widow who's a member at your club who just thanks you for giving them a lesson? How about you tell them that story? How about the trips you've gone to Scotland or Pebble Beach or Bandon Dunes? Why don't you tell them that story? And then as far as retention, I think something we all can do a good job of and a better job of, and I think even at the board level, Brian, you're coming in as president, but every private club knows their at-risk members. You know them. They're not using the tennis courts, the pickleball, the pool, the golf course, not eating in the restaurant. We all know the at-risk members. But we have at-risk members of our association. Sure, some of you right now are going, oh, around Tom's not here. Why isn't Alice here? Okay, what are you going to do with that information? Are you going to text them and say, hey, Pards, I miss you. How come you were in the meeting today? Maybe they're going through something we don't even know about. And Kelly would love to help out. Doug Turner, that guy's got a huge heart. He'd love to talk to him. But I think we can all do a better job, especially like, something I've talked about lately is and you didn't mention it today, maybe you'll do it later, but not every section does it, of like members that have passed, right? Isn't it amazing at the annual meeting how many names are on that list? I mean, it goes on forever. And I think about who was at those funerals. I mean, I think every section should have like it's a terrible name, there's got to be something better, but like a funeral committee or something, right? Of just past presidents or former leaders of the section that show up and they grab the husband's hand or they grab the spouse's hand and say, thank you for sharing your spouse with us. Thank you for sharing your dad or mom with us for 30 years as a PGA member. And that's recruitment, that's retention, that's who we are, that's just family. Recruitment and retention should actually just happen because everybody's like, well, we're a big family. I want to be part of that family. I mean, when you put PGA at the end of your name, in my opinion, on social media or otherwise, you're saying that we're family. So some of these PGA members that rip on the PGA on social media, but PGA after the name, it really makes me mad, to be quite honest with you, because that happens over dinner. That happens at Thanksgiving. That happens when we're families, we're in rooms like this. You want to bitch and moan about the PGA? Bring it. We want to answer the questions. I know this section's all about that. But you do it on social media, all you're doing is devaluing the brand and just makes all the sales reps and everybody else go, oh, well, that PGA member's not happy. You have the same last name. It's PGA. And so really think about that. I'd like to encourage every section, Thomas, of just who's going to these funerals, who's contacting these at-risk members, and just seeing what's going on in their lives. Because it could be marital, it could be medical, it could be financial. We don't know what's going on in their lives, but I guarantee you they probably would love a text message from you right now. Even right now, if there's somebody in your mind, like, man, I haven't talked to that person in a long time. Just text them right now. It takes 2 seconds. I'm not going to get on you because you look down and got on your phone. Because it's going to change that PGA member's life for that second. It's going to, wow, yeah, I should have been at the meeting, but I didn't know who's going. So that's recruitment and retention. We've got the boots on the ground. The regional model is legit, and it's going to help. And it's going to bring a lot of health to our organization. But at the end of the day, it's up to all of us to make sure that we're living our brand every single day and showing everybody how cool this brand is.
I appreciate that answer and very well said there. I want to end here, Don, of, there's been a lot of talk, I think, with obviously purses and at a national level with the PGA Championship, just financially. And I want to turn this question more around from a true member perspective of, what assurances or what perspective can you gain for our members of increases to our championship and what may or may not happen won't affect the day in and day out lives of our members from a standpoint of the services that we're given at a section level?
I think when you're in a section, a lot of leaders in the room, I mean, you take that responsibility very seriously. It's not your money, right? And we look at it the same way, right, Derek? I mean, we look at the 4-year cycle and we're worried about inflation, we're worried about recession. The reserve fund, your reserve fund lost $26 million last year. It's back up to $190 million, so everything's cool, but that thing kicks out about 4 to 5% a year. So do the math on 190 million and 4 to 5%. We use that money for a lot of different things, stuff to hopefully make your lives better, because that's our goal. As far as purses, of course it's a concern. There's this arms race right now. What's going on, right? We were at 12.5 million. At Southern Hills, we went to 15 million. That sounded pretty good. Players Championship is at 20 million, so, you know, they'd love to be a major, but they're not going to be. But they raised their purse to 20 million. Well, now they're up to 25. And now you've got 13 to 14 elevated events are at $20 million. And the PGA Championship's at 15 million. Are we looking at that? Absolutely. Some could say, are we really a major if we're not giving a major purse? Or do they just play because the Wanamaker can't be purchased? It has to be earned. That's how you win the Wanamaker. And all I can tell you is if I'm going to give $5 million to our members' money to their members, I don't know, that's going to be a hard one for me. Because every time we increase the purse on any of these championships that we run, the senior, the KPMG, the women's, or the PGA Championship, we're giving our members money, your money, to their members. And so we're definitely looking at that right now, because that's concerning to us. So I can tell you that we're looking at that. We haven't made a decision on that. Why not wait? Let's see what Augusta National does. Don't know where they're going. But at the end of the day, regardless of what happens out there, Thomas, we're going to make the decision because it's your money, and there's other things we can spend that money on. We believe we do a lot of great things in the PGA of America, right? I mean, I hate to take money away from PGA Hope. We do all these programs that change lives. We do one that saves them, and that's PGA Hope. The fellows, the fellows paid for by the PGA of America, right, Thomas? That's nice. The regional model, giving an extended staff to everybody in this room without your section having to pay for it. You guys are doing pretty good. The Rocky Mountain section, that's a tough section to run. They don't have many members. Northeast New York, they got like 180 members. It's difficult. So this regional model and the PGA providing staff, well, that five's got to come out of something. If we go to 20 million on that purse, where's it going to come out of? So I can assure you, and we write on it, as your vice president, right now we're in the budget cycle, and we're looking at everything, just like you would look at your business. What are the wants and what are the needs? What is our labor percentage of revenue? I want to know that because you've given me the keys to this association as your vice president. I chair the budget committee, the innovation committee, the investment committee, and the audit committee. That's what you do as vice president. I take that seriously. So I don't know what's going to happen with the purse. I know we're talking to Seth. Seth's talking to Jay. They're talking to Fred. They're talking to Mark Slumbers. I mean, they're talking to everybody to see where everybody's at. But I can assure you, if we're going to give our members money to some other members, it better have a pretty good return on investment somehow, some way. So we're branding on that.
Appreciate that. Well, gentlemen, I think from our standpoint, we appreciate both of your all's time and being here. I think it's very important to obviously see both of your passion in front of our members and what y'all do day in and day out. So on behalf of our 837, as we keep using the exact number of our PGA members, let's give both these gentlemen a big round of applause. I was just going to ask you both one real quick question, just wrap it up here. It's just a quick question. What are you most looking forward to? JT defending or us keeping the Ryder Cup on this side of the Atlantic?
Ryder Cup, without question.
Don, that was a very quick answer.
I'm not a quick answer guy, but well, it's been 30 years since we brought the Ryder Cup back from Europe, right? And Zach Johnson, he's an amazing captain. He's one of us. I just love him and Kim, his wife are great. But JT winning and his dad being a past board director, maybe you don't know that, but JT's dad was a past board director of the PGA of America. So if there's one tour player that gets it, it's JT. And he's always been really good to the PGA of America and helps us whenever we need his help. So, us, I love the Ryder Cup. I really appreciate what JT does on the PGA Tour side and how he really respects the PGA professional and values it. You're going to see it when you watch that long drive show. And I hope you've got your TVs tuned up already to Netflix. Starting on February 15th, there's going to be a show called Long Drive. Is it Long Drive? Yeah, it's called Long Drive. Full Swing. It's called Full Swing. And it's behind the scenes. PGA of America gave the rights to them to show behind the scenes at the PGA Championship. Augusta did the same. USGA did the same. RNA did the same. And it's really cool. And to see the relationship between JT and his dad, Mike, and, you know, and the PGA professional relationship, even though it's his dad, he's still looking at the swing. I think it'll make you proud to be a PGA professional. We made sure as much as we could that the PGA professional, some of our team of 20, is duly recognized in that Netflix show. So, Full Swing, check it out.
One last big round of applause for both of these gentlemen.